How do 9 experienced hikers suddenly die in the middle of the mountains with no explanation whatsoever? That's exactly what we'll talk about in this video, so make sure you watch it to the end. In January 1959, 9 hikers planned to go out into the Ural Mountains in Russia, and these weren't beginners. They were experienced, well-trained individuals that had gone through many brutal winter conditions, and the leader was a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. Everyone in the group knew exactly what they were doing because they had done multiple trips like this before. So for them, everything seemed normal and organized. Then, they started going deeper into the wild, even though they were at one of the coldest mountains on the planet Earth. The mountain was becoming more dangerous, but they kept going, because that's exactly what they came for. On the night of February 1st, 1959, the group set up their tent on a snowy slope called Kholat Syakhl, which translates to Dead Mountain in the local language. Even though setting up a camp on an open slope like that was a strange choice, especially for experienced hikers who knew the risks if something went wrong. But unfortunately, they did it anyway, and that decision would be the one that changed everything. In the middle of the night, something went terribly wrong. Something forced them to act so fast, to the point they cut their tent open from the inside and ran out into the freezing darkness, barefoot, without boots, or jackets, or anything that could protect them from the cold. 3 weeks later, search teams finally reached the campsite to look for them, and what they found made no sense. The tent was still standing with boots, clothes, and supplies still inside, but all 9 hikers were gone. Then investigators started following the footprints in the snow, and the tracks showed people walking slowly, not running. They were heading away from the tent and straight into the deadly cold outside. But why? What made them leave like that? Rescuers start finding the bodies one by one. The first 2 were found near a tree, frozen to death. Then they found 3 more between the tree and the tent, like they were trying to crawl back but couldn't make it. And months later, they found the remaining 4 buried under several feet of snow in a ravine, and some of them had injuries that made no sense, like broken ribs and fractured skulls. For decades, people argued about what really happened. Some said it was aliens. Others said secret military weapons or government experiments. The mystery only kept growing because the Soviet government classified the case and refused to release details, and that made people believe they were hiding something. Theories spread all over the world, and the Dyatlov Pass Incident became one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in history. People couldn't stop asking the same question. What could scare 9 experienced hikers so much that they'd rather freeze to death than stay in their tent? But here's the thing. After 60 years later, scientists finally tested the evidence again using modern technology and simulations, and the answer turned out to be something no one had expected. It was a rare, delayed slab avalanche, the kind that doesn't happen immediately but builds pressure slowly and releases hours later. The hikers felt the warning signs, which could be some vibrations in the snow or cracking sounds, and they knew what it meant. So they followed their survival training and left the tent immediately, because staying inside during an avalanche meant you're going to get buried alive. But here's the tragic part. Their training saved them from the avalanche, but it also killed them. Because once they were outside in minus 30 degrees temperature, with no gear and no shelter, they were literally exposed to the cold weather without any protection. So to stay warm, some of them tried to start a fire. Others tried to get back to the tent. But the cold was too strong, and some of them had injuries caused by the weight of the snow collapsing on top of them in the ravine. That day was literally a nightmare. The mystery that haunted the world for over 60 years wasn't aliens or weapons. It was nature. And the sad reality is that sometimes, even if you assume that everything is going according to the plan, all it takes is one moment and everything could go bad. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just don't forget to like it and make sure you hit the subscribe button to watch more videos like this.